Picture this. It's the late 19th century. You're a European colonist, deep in the heart of southern Africa, and you stumble upon something absolutely breathtaking. A massive, ancient city made of stone, built with a kind of skill and precision you'd expect to see in Rome or Greece. They called it Great Zimbabwe. And immediately, one question popped into everyone's mind. A question totally wrapped up in the prejudices of the time. Who on earth could have built this?
And that right there, that's the central mystery we're diving into. On one hand, you've got this undeniable architectural masterpiece. I mean, it's just incredible. But on the other hand, you have the colonial mindset of the era, which just could not, would not accept that the local African people, the ancestors of the Shona, were capable of something so grand. This is the story of that collision of fact and prejudice, and how a search for history actually became a way to deny it.
So, to solve this so-called enigma, an expedition was sent out in 1891, and the man leading it was an English explorer and archaeologist named James Theodore Bent. His mission? Journey into what the British were calling Mashonaland, investigate these incredible ruins, and come back with a definitive answer about where they came from.
Now, if you really want to understand Bent's point of view, you have to look at who was paying for his trip. Sure, you've got the very prestigious Royal Geographical Society, which gave it a stamp of scientific approval, but the real money, the main backer, was the British South Africa Company. And who was behind that? The infamous Cecil Rhodes. So right away you know this isn't just a friendly academic field trip. No, this is deeply, deeply tied to the business of colonial expansion.
As Bent made his way into the African interior, he wasn't just a neutral observer taking notes. He was a man of his time, and he was looking at everything through a very powerful colonial lens. The way he wrote about the people he met tells you just as much about his own ingrained beliefs as it does about them.
And this quote right here, it says it all. He's talking about Chief Khama, who was a respected and really effective leader. But look at how Ben describes him. He can't just see a powerful, intelligent man. No, to him, it's a curious and unaccountable outcrop. It's like finding a rose growing on a glacier. In his mind, integrity and power just weren't supposed to exist in what he called a degraded and powerless race. This single quote lays the foundation of prejudice for his entire investigation.
But here's the kicker, the great contradiction in all of this. For all his dismissive language, Bent's own notes are filled with details of an incredibly complex society. He writes about hereditary chiefs, organized town councils called kotla, really sophisticated iron smelting, and intricate laws for marriage. He was literally seeing a functioning, highly structured civilization with his own two eyes, and yet he just couldn't connect the dots between these people and the magnificent stone ruins he was there to study.
And that disconnect, it gets even wider when Bent finally lays eyes on Great Zimbabwe itself. I mean, just try to imagine it. You're walking through the bush for weeks, and then you emerge into a clearing and are confronted by these massive, silent, curving walls of stone. The sense of pure awe must have been absolutely overwhelming.
But here's the thing. Bent wasn't the first European to hear about this amazing place, not by a long shot. He'd been reading much older accounts, like this one from a 16th century Portuguese historian, De Barros. It talks about a place of marvelous size and even gets the local name right, Zimbabwe, which means something like a royal court or residence. The history was right there, just waiting for someone to read it without bias.
And De Barros' account even gets specific. It mentions a tower standing over 12 yards high. This is, of course, the famous conical tower inside the great enclosure. A structure that huge, just rising out of the landscape, it was a clear signal of incredible skill, serious organization, and real power.
And this is the most incredible detail of all. The entire city, all of it, was built using a technique called dry stone walling. We're talking about tens of thousands of granite blocks, each one quarried, shaped, and then fitted together so perfectly that they didn't need any mortar to hold them in place. This is not just stacking rocks, okay? This is a masterclass in engineering and physics, creating these beautiful, flowing walls that have stood strong for centuries.
So faced with this undeniable, in-your-face evidence of pure genius, Bent starts his investigation. But let's be real, he didn't go in with an open mind. He came in with a conclusion already rattling around in his head thanks to his biases. His work was less of an investigation and more of a hunt for evidence to prove what he already believed.
You see, his whole investigation started from a flawed place. The real question wasn't an open one, like, who built this amazing city? No, for him, the question was, okay, which civilized race from the north came down here and built this? He'd already decided who couldn't have built it, the local Makalanga people, the very same people whose complex society he had just been documenting. It was a complete failure of logic, and it was born from pure prejudice.
So he starts putting together his case piece by piece. He finds these incredible soapstone birds and immediately says, "Ha, they look like Egyptian hawk gods." He uncovers all this evidence of gold smelting and connects it to the legendary mines of Ophir from stories about the Phoenicians. He finds some phallic-shaped objects and decides it must be proof of a foreign fertility cult. Every single discovery was shoved through this filter of his preconceived ideas, and it all led him to one single, inevitable conclusion.
And there it is, his final verdict. A total rejection of any local ingenuity. With all the confidence of a man who found exactly what he went looking for, he declared that the builders had to have come from the north. Maybe Egyptians, he thought, or more likely, ancient Arabians. For Bent and for the colonial powers that sent him, that was it. Case closed. The mystery was solved by giving the credit to literally anyone but the people of Africa.
Now, Bent's conclusions, once they were published and promoted by his powerful friends, weren't just some academic theory. They became the official story, the accepted truth for decades, and the damage it did was just devastating. It was nothing less than a grand theft of history.
And Bent's ideas were so easily accepted because they were basically confirming a myth that colonists had been telling themselves for centuries. Even back in the 16th century, that Portuguese account dismissed the local people, claiming they said the walls were the work of the devil because it was beyond their powers. See, that narrative was useful. If the local people didn't build these amazing structures, then they didn't really have a historical claim to the land, did they?
So the real damage of Bent's work was profound. It just systematically severed the connection between the Shona people and their incredible heritage. Their single greatest cultural achievement was stolen and handed over to some imaginary group of foreign invaders. It became the scientific justification for denying African civilization. Of course, modern archaeology has completely corrected this. It's now been proven, definitively, what should have been obvious from the start: Great Zimbabwe was built by the ancestors of the local Shona people, a thriving African civilization that was at its peak between the 11th and 15th centuries.
The story of Great Zimbabwe really leaves us with this one crucial question. It's a powerful reminder that archaeology is never just about digging up old pots and stones. It's about interpretation. And the stories we choose to tell about the past have incredible power to shape the present, to empower some people and to completely erase others.